to learn how to use these tools.
While we're on the subject, very recently we'd also seen the US Fed cut rates by 25 basis points. What does that do? There's already a lot of momentum towards AI capex. Now we also have the US Fed supporting that by way of rate cuts. What momentum, what shape do you see this trajectory taking in terms of greater investments towards AI? Does that in any way perhaps exaggerate fears of a bubble? Again, references being made to the dot-com bubble.
I think with regard to the rate cuts, they are to stimulate the broader economy. I think if you look at the economic indicators, GDP growth beyond the AI set of investments have actually been pretty low, right? About a half basis point, about 50 basis points. And so I think the rate cuts are to stimulate the broader economy.
Let's get in a word on some of the other challenges that we're talking about. Jobs is something that we're actively talking about, especially here in India as well. Very recently, we've seen job cuts at Amazon. I think they let go of about 14,000 people. We've seen at Microsoft as well, 4,000 at Salesforce. You yourself earlier this year had to let go of a few people. Back home here in TCS, we've seen about 12,000 people in the latest quarter being asked to leave. Is there this conversation, while we're seeing conversations, of course, about greater productivity, do we also now need to have a conversation on what the very real impact could be on the ground, and especially at workers, at coders, at the bottom of the pyramid?
Yeah, I think, our view is that AI doesn't replace a human. A human that's powered with AI will replace a human that's not capable of using AI, right? I think that each of those institutions has their own prerogatives. Our own view is that we are actually trying to deliver more value for clients with the same employees by giving them AI tools. So we're trying to innovate at a faster pace. We're trying to serve clients with a better customer experience. We're trying to move our back office to being more agile and responsive in the way we serve clients. And so our view is, at least in our company, there aren't massive job losses or anything like that. It's adjusting the mix of the workforce with the, the AI-powered enterprise.
One more challenge is global uncertainty. Increasingly, because of the nature of conflict that it is, we're increasingly seeing an amount of, if I may use the word, nationalism of technology, whether that's rare earth, semiconductors, data, cloud, supply chains, and all of these aspects, there's a inward push coming in from large markets, large countries. Is that a trend that worries you when you look at providing solutions to customers, clients spread across the world?
I think it makes it more complex when you have different countries having different technology standards or different predilections for how they consume technology. It certainly makes it the economies of scale and specialization that has driven global industry and has driven kind of productivity growth, gets more challenged, right? Because now you have different countries operating with different scale. And so it's hard to harmonize across all of them. In those transitions, the larger countries and the larger players always have an advantage because they already have reached scale or they have large populations like India does, where it's a large market. But you worry about what happens to the smaller countries and the less advantaged populations.
Sure. While we're on the subject, in fact, in terms of different regulations across different countries, India is in the process of coming out with its data protection framework. It's yet to see the light of day, so we don't quite have a clear picture of what that may look like. Is there a concern on data localization norms? The reason I ask that is because anyhow, India has very limited capacity for local cloud storage, which is about 1 gigawatts. So a mandate from the government to ask for the data to be stored here with not enough data storage solutions capacity here, does that present issues for you?
It's a topic that we have dealt with across the globe, sort of data sovereignty, privacy, the proper classification and governance of data. What we have done with organizations across the globe is help them meet those requirements while being able to take advantage of all the innovation in the big cloud providers. I think that that is a balance you want to get right, because if you kind of implement controls in a way that doesn't allow you to innovate, it will actually in the longer term harm domestic institutions. We feel good about our ability to do so. We've seen that across the globe, where we've been able to get that balance for our clients and for the public sector organizations just right. I was in Europe recently, and we are working with some of the governments there to help them implement advanced data sovereignty practices, but allow them to use innovation from across the globe so that they can bring citizen services, improve national security, strengthen cyber defense, and so on.
Just a couple more questions, Mr. Kurian. I just want to also get your thoughts on some of the policy decisions that have been taken by the US administration on H-1B visa. If this policy does in fact come to stay, that we are looking at $100,000 for every H-1B visa, what does that do, again, in terms of sourcing talent? I ask this especially in context of Indian workers who have aspirations of working for the US tech industry in the United States. Now do we have a situation where they move back here, the companies gravitate towards countries such as India to source for talent?
Listen, we have been in India now for a very long time, right? 21 years. And so we have always believed in having, going to where the talent is. We have development centers. I was in Australia right before I came to India. We have, an engineering group there. We have a group here. We have a group in Philippines. We have a group in Israel, in Ireland. So lots of different parts of the globe. And key to success in an industry like ours is to have the best technical talent, because they innovate on behalf of our clients. In terms of the US talent pool, there have been some positive steps for providing continued access to H-1Bs, for example, for college students graduating from universities in the US. And so we're hopeful that there'll be a more progressive perspective, especially for high-skilled global talent.
That's fantastic advice, Mr. Kurian. We'd like to thank you for the time that you've shared with us. It's a lovely conversation, as always, like in 2023, now in 2025. And just as back in 2023, when you had given indications of what the road ahead may look like, we're hoping some of those things come to pass. We'll, of course, look to connect with you soon on your next travel to India. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hello and welcome to this special broadcast right here on CNBC-TV18. I'm going to take a name of a few projects. Tell me if it strikes a bell. The Delhi Metro, the Terminal 2 at the Bengaluru Airport, Burj Khalifa, the Shah Rukh Khan starrer movie Jawan, the mammoth hit that we saw recently, Chhawa, the legendary game Call of Duty. The one common denominator across all of these different projects is the company San Francisco-based Autodesk. The company provides tools for imagining and building solutions across the spectrum of all the projects that we mentioned, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's manufacturing or media and entertainment. Autodesk is increasingly now looking at India as a part of the APAC region to focus more on it. The company calls India a strategic market. To learn more about the company, about the vision, is with us the global CEO, Mr. Andrew Anagnos. Mr. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us, being a part of this conversation. India, you've called it a strategic market. As far as the APAC region is concerned, give us more depth on it. Why is it a strategic market? What is your vision here for the India market?
Yeah, Ashmed, you did a great job of introducing Autodesk earlier. You know, one of the important things to know about us is we're a design and make company. So everything out there that you see in the world, the roads you drive on, the bridges that go over the rivers, the cars that drive over it, the cell phone in your hand, it's all been touched by our software in some way. And when you look at India and its big vision around Viksit Bharat and what they're trying to target, what are some of the key pillars there? Infrastructure development, manufacturing excellence, sustainable growth, skills and talent growth inside the Indian economy. So looking at India over the next 5 years, you're going to spend trillions of dollars on infrastructure. You're going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars, if not more, on manufacturing. You just recently spent $626 million. There was an announcement of $626 million for building components for electronic components. You're going to need factories for that. This touches everything we do. So when you look at the long-term growth perspectives in India, there's huge opportunities in infrastructure, huge opportunities in manufacturing. Our first-generation tools are already widely used in India. Our goal in coming here and working with the Indian government, working with large Indian corporations, is to get them onto the most advanced and powerful tools we have. It's very expensive to build infrastructure. There's a massive capacity problem. Not enough money, not enough people, not enough materials to build and rebuild everything. Our goal in coming and working with India is to help them do this faster, cheaper, more reliably, and that's a huge opportunity for us over 5 years, and it's a huge opportunity for India because there's just so much that has to be built and rebuilt.
You mentioned two very interesting aspects. One is the infrastructure push, and there's this one report which mentions that in 11 years leading up to FY25, India spent about over $600 billion. You also mentioned the Make in India push. That's clearly something that's high on the agenda for the government. They're working towards electronics manufacturing here, and that's just, of course, one part of the total manufacturing story. Can you help us with some numbers? What is the scale of this opportunity that you're hoping to realize? Any targets that you've given your team here that, look, in 5 years we need to be here, we need to have this percentage of the market share or this amount of revenue here from the India market?
Well, I can't give you exact numbers, Ashmet, but let me put it this way. You know, we see India as our largest potential growth market in Asia Pacific, bar none. And the reason for that is the active investment and the talent pool here. You know, for instance, over the last 5 years, the number of employees we have in India has doubled. And it's now the second largest employment site for us after the US. So it's not only what's India's spending to modernize the entire economy of the country, it's also the talent that's here as well that's going to play a key role in building the global products that we bring everywhere. So there's huge opportunities for us. We see it as the largest potential market for us in Asia Pacific.
You talk about huge opportunities. You've in fact just you've narrowed down on one, at least, opportunity as a part of this visit of yours in India. We're talking about your partnership that you've announced with Adani. Give us more color on that. What is the nature of this partnership? How are you looking to monetize it going forward?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this partnership, and I'll tell you why I'm excited about this partnership. You know, Adani touches everything in India, from ports, infrastructure, multiple types of projects. There's 11 business groups inside of Adani that do amazing things. They have been longtime users of our early stage products like AutoCAD and the things associated with that. What they're working with us, and the 3-year contract they've engaged with us, is to modernize their processes and get up to what we call building information model, which is BIM, which is the modern way of building 3D models and then moving them through the entire life cycle, from design, pre-construction planning, what we call 4D and 5D planning, which involves scheduling and cost, all the way out to the actual execution on the construction site with Construction Cloud. So they've engaged with us to modernize their processes to be best in class so they can solve this capacity problem, so that they can put fewer people on each project and execute far more projects. And that's what I'm excited about, and I think it's exciting for them, and I think it's a great engagement for India between us and Adani Group.
Any numbers you could share in terms of what is the timeline of this partnership? Any specific projects that you'll be working towards?
Over the next 3 years, we're going to be working with them to develop competency in-house for the various groups that they work with. They're going to have pilot projects associated with this, but right now we're working with them on their internal expertise around what they call a BIM factory and BIM capabilities that allow them to move BIM-based processes into all the projects they're executing on.
Fantastic. Let's talk more about your GCC presence here. That's a big talking point here in India. A lot of talent, as you mentioned correctly, sits out of India. A lot of companies are gravitating towards looking at India in terms of setting up these global capability centers. More recently, there have also been conversations. For instance, Sridhar Vembu, a tech icon here out of India, he's of the view that GCCs, because they're coming here, they should be taxed here, they should be regulated here, the IP should rest here. That has led to some amount of debate. Are we ready for that? Is the tech industry ready for that, to be based out of here and to be taxed and regulated here? Or will that stifle innovation in any way?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're a global company. We operate in lots of different countries, okay? I think what's important is that the talent is being deployed to develop new next generation solutions and being leveraged in appropriate ways to do that. How we engage with the local communities on where the IP sits, that's a longer term discussion. I think what you don't want to do is, in the short term, stifle the amount of hiring and the amount of engagement that's happening right here at the cost of maybe some short term political goals.
In having this pitch and having this conversation with public sector entities and assuring them on access to data, what are the kind of conversations that you have with some of your other clients? Is there a hesitancy within the Indian ecosystem to move and migrate towards these new digital tools? Do you see that? Do you find yourself making this pitch to them?
Look, I think every technology evolution that we've seen has these kinds of challenges. Right? I remember very early on in the days of the cloud, when we started talking to people using the cloud, using applications in the cloud, people were very, very hesitant to do this. Because they were, what are you doing? Where's my data going? How safe is it? How secure is it? We care a lot about security, trust, and safety, and we invest a lot of money in it. So over time, what people discover is what they get back from using these solutions, because they're so much more powerful than the solutions they use today. The fact that the data is in the cloud means it's much more connected. It's much easier to connect it to new processes. It's much easier to connect it to new people. And as a result, they just get huge ROI from these things. So there's always hesitancy. There was hesitancy with the cloud in the past. People are getting past that hesitancy. There's going to be hesitancy with AI. Lots of interest in AI. 51% of our design and make executives in India are already using AI today to solve their sustainability and environmental challenges. But those same people, 62%, are concerned that AI is going to disrupt their entire industry. So there's a desire and a fear associated with all of these new technologies. And over time, as long as the vendors like us provide the kind of trustworthiness, security, accessibility that these customers are looking for, all of that stuff works itself out.
But while we're on the subject of AI, let me also just cite Bill Gates. Bill Gates is the latest addition to the conversations that are being had in San Francisco, in Wall Street, where he talks about how potentially we are in an AI bubble and AI frenzy. Do you subscribe to that view? That we're all building up towards this one big bubble which may pop and then could have severe consequences?
You know, every technology goes through a hype cycle. Every single technology. This is true. This was true of the PC. This was true of the internet. It's true of AI. And the hype cycle is always one that the technology gets hyped above its current capabilities, its current potential. You collapse into the trough of disillusionment. And what happens is you come out of that, you rise to a level of productivity that was really what was expected. So it goes up, it goes down, and it comes out. Every technology goes through this cycle. Where are we in that cycle? I don't know, but that cycle is unavoidable.
Speaking of that cycle, in fact, I was very recently in conversation with another global CEO. He mentioned that we have a tendency of doing that, where we overestimate the near-term impact and underestimate
the long-term impact.
Long-term impact. So, an interesting quotation I walked away with. But finally, just a couple more questions. We are today operating in an environment which has a lot of global uncertainties, whether it's on the tariff fronts, whether it's supply chains, whether it's data management. All of these aspects are giving cause for concern to a lot of global leaders. Does that come in the way when you look at your slightly mid to long term in terms of what this does to the infra spend, to capex spend? How are you looking at that?
So we believe in global competition and cooperation. We absolutely think a global economy makes a huge difference for everyone. All right. So we haven't changed anything in our strategy. We operate in 180 different countries. We're going to continue to operate in 180 different countries, and we're going to continue to show up, enable our customers with the best and the latest technology, because I think what you're seeing right now is just something that works itself out over time. You got to have the long view on all of this, and the long view is AI is going to change the way we design and make things. The global economy is going to get more productive and more powerful. There's going to be a shift in supply chains around the world, and it's going to allow a lot of economies to grow and thrive.
Fantastic. And that brings me to my one final question. I ask this to all the tech leaders that I speak to sitting out of San Francisco. You're sitting at the heart of innovation, of world innovation, a lot of pace activity there as well. One aspect I just want to also get your thoughts on is the H-1B issue. The US administration insists on having a fee, a large fee, that will make talent prohibitively expensive. I just want to get a sense, sitting out of San Francisco, what does that do to the pace of innovation? Does that get affected in any way? Or do we simply see the current approach of having GCCs and talent hubs like India, that trend will grow even further? Which of the two?
I think it'll be a combination of both. Our policies haven't changed in terms of immigration with regards to how we use talent domestically and where it comes from, and how we build talent outside in GCCs in other countries. I think it's going to continue. I think the trend will move in that direction. We haven't changed anything we're doing. And again, I think it's very important to have the long view here. We're going to get the talent to the right place at the right time, regardless of the costs, because it's important for us, for our innovation and for the capabilities we want to deliver to our customers. And that's what we're going to do, and we're going to continue to do that.
But in your conversations with similarly placed tech leaders, does that hurt you or the broader industry in terms of acquiring the talent when you have this large fee? Looking at your at H-1B visas, $100,000 makes the cost of operations very challenging to acquire talent from.
I'm looking forward to more constructive solutions.
Fantastic. And one final comment that you'd like to leave us with. Your vision for 2026, what would one key trend be that you'll be watching out for progress from 2025?
I think the key trend as we head into 2027 is real productivity from AI. Right? People are productivity. They're going to be looking for what this new technology can actually enable them to do more of. Our industry in particular, like I said earlier, has a massive capacity problem. Not enough money, people, or materials to build and rebuild everything. AI can help us solve that capacity problem. And it won't create an employment problem because there's too much that has to be built. Yes, we will have fewer people working on every individual project, but we will be doing a lot more projects, and the world needs to do a lot more projects.
Well, that was Mr. Andrew Anning, the global of Autodesk, telling us about what excites him, what inspires him, not just about India, but also about AI as a technology and what it can possibly yield as we step into 2026. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation, for being a part of this broadcast. For more news and updates, keep watching CNBC TV 18.